Straight Out Order podcast coming away. This is number 350. Stevesmi here and Rick joining me. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Steve? What's up, guys? How's everybody doing out there?
So in this episode, guys, we're piggybacking off our last one, 348, where this is going to be the part two. We're going to continue talking about Rick's company, N2BM, and the products that they have. The first one, we talked about three main products, and this one we're going to talk about some more products that he has. And Rick, take it away.
Yeah, guys. So I just wanted to introduce my product line to everybody. We talk about the products on some of the podcasts here and there, but it's just nice to focus 2 episodes to just kind of what the offering is and what we have for you guys at the store. So like I was saying, I developed my product line years and years of just picking up different ideas and learning different things before the whole product line came together. One thing that we were doing very, very early on, I was a young man when we started doing this, was basically using Yohimflame with aloe vera. And we used to use Yohimflame HCl with aloe vera juice. And basically just use a mixture of that on your midsection to really help to target fat loss in that area. You see, there are some actives in the Yohimflame that when they reach certain receptors in your fat cell, it fools the cell into letting go of some of that stored energy. Okay, so Yohimflame works that way. It touches just the right receptors on the fat cell to make it release some of that stored energy, and then for a while after you use the product, while you're using the product, your fat cells are releasing energy into your blood system as long as you are training, doing some kind of cardio or doing something to pick up that energy and burn it. You're going to get that targeted fat loss. Now, obviously, if you just put the product on and then you go eat right afterwards and then you don't work out, we'll still have a surplus of energy circulating, and it will get deposited back as fat somewhere else. But if you're following a good caloric deficit regimen where you have a net loss in fat mass on a daily basis, and you apply the Yohimflame right to that area, it'll start to target fat loss in that area. It's pretty effective. And we were doing this, I would say, circa 2005, 2006. We were doing this. Then one of the guys that I used to get my material from to make topical Yohimflame, to get just nice looking abs, he put out a product on the marketplace based in Yohimflame, that same idea. And years later, when I launched Need to Build Muscle, I realized, like, hey, this topical Yohimflame worked incredible. Let me figure out a good way to actually add or make a product that takes advantage of the effects that the Yohimflame has on the fat cells. And that's basically how Yohimflame came around. It came around. So I wanted to add a product to the product line that took advantage of the effects Yohimflame has, because it's just the whole product line really came around. The way everything was developed was just something that I would put together to take with my cycle. And it always ended up being something that I was already doing myself somehow. So it was my take, my version on the topical Yohimflame product. We used Senafren, raspberry ketones. We used regular Yohimflame, alpha 2 Yohimflame, caffeine. It's got a nice stack of products to target not just real fat loss, but also it helps to dehydrate that area of the skin too. So it gives you a bit of a cosmetic effect that's really not all that permanent, along with helping to target fat loss and helping to target energy release by those fat cells where you're applying the product. So it started off as a spray, and then the thick, heavy ingredients just started to clog the spray to a pump, and the pump worked great, but it was just a lot of volume as a big liquid product, and shipping liquids in this kind of large volume became a problem logistically. So over time, we moved on from using this kind of very very liquid, very soft, very not very viscous uh, liquid to something with more viscosity, more body, which it's basically now the presentation that we have for you guys for your Yohimflame is a roll-on. You know, it's cream inside of a roll-on stick. You just roll on one good layer of it on the areas that you're trying to target fat loss. For me, it works great with AM cardio. I think, over the years, it's probably been one of the things that's really helped me get rid of belly fat and kind of bring out definition in my abs. Is I started kind of using that Yohimbi really early on, like when I was about 24, 25. I was getting the Yohimbi HCl powder, just mixing it with aloe vera juice and pretty much applying it on my belly along with my cutting cycles and such. And I think over the years it's helped me keep that area pretty thin,
Yeah.
pretty defined.
Yeah, I was
Have
gonna say. Yeah, Rick, I was gonna say for me, the way I like to use it, it's very similar. I'll wake up, I'll spray about 8 squirts onto my stomach area, not just my front abs, but also sides too. Because don't forget, on your sides, you get men. We carry a lot of fat, especially on our side of our stomach. So I'll spray it on there, fasted, then go do my workout or cardio, make sure it dries, and then I can feel it burning.
We had the spray for years. Right now, where we have a roll-on stick. Have you used the new product with the roll-on stick, Steve? I can't remember.
No, I just use the spray on, but I use the more modern spray on. After you had those problems, and you switched it to the more modern spray on. So I use the modern spray on. So it's very similar to the roll on. And it pretty much. I mean, you'd want to do the same thing. So with the roll on, how would you apply that versus the 8 squirts?
Well, the ingredients are pretty much all the same, except for a couple of the carriers. And with the roll-on, we really just made a much higher percentage of the mix. Much higher of it is the actual active ingredients, and a much smaller amount of the mix is the carriers. You just condense the product down. You just, instead of having this very liquid product that was meant to go through pumps and go through sprays, you have just something thicker. It's going to be smaller. So now the product is about half of the size that it used to be when it was a spray, and then it went to a pump. And it's very convenient. And all you have to do is, the roll-on is so convenient. You don't even have to get your hands dirty. You just one pass, just up and down motion, just one coat, one pass, and you're good to go. If you really want to apply a lot of it, then just do one pass. Let it air dry for just a few minutes, and you could work it with your hands. No, not a problem at all. And then you go ahead and do another pass. And then also for guys like in our age group that have trouble, keeping your chest dry, Yohimflame works great to help keep your chest dry. It really, really does. And again, Yohimflame is not a magic cream. If you are not on a caloric deficit, you might not notice all the benefits out of it. If you're on a caloric surplus and actually net gaining fat mass on a daily basis, it's probably not going to have a ton of effect on you. It'll help some on the nipples. Some of that additional kind of pointiness and swellingness on the nipples, it'll help with that, no matter if you're gaining or losing fat. That I've seen. Will it really make a difference in the midsection? Will it really make a difference on your obliques, on your under chin? If you're really at a net caloric gain, or you're at a net weight gain, it's just not gonna do a lot. But if you are on a net weight loss, if you're losing some body fat mass every day, it'll help you target where to lose it from, and that's been a good experience. You can use your Yohimflame with any of your cycles. You can use your Yohimflame with any kind of over the counter fat burner. You can use it pretty much with anything. From my store, if you mix it with Entuslin, which I discussed in the previous podcast, is a great product. You can do a stack of your Yohimflame, Entuslin, and T3 PCT. That's also a great stack for my store. That's a great 3-product non-stimulant fat loss stack that you can that any of you guys can try. And what's great about it is if you use T3 PCT, Entuslin, and your Yohimflame together, since it's non-stim, if you are doing a cleanse cycle, which we don't recommend, obviously, but if you're doing a cycle maybe with stimulants from another brand, appetite suppressants, stuff that gets you wired up and jittery, then you don't have to worry about my products adding to that or being detrimental to that goal. My products are not stim. They'll still promote fat loss, and then you could take something else and manage your stim intake that way with something that you're already comfortable with.
Yeah, and what I like about using these supplements, that's a good point, because you're not hurting your health in the process. These supplements are safe, so they're not going to cause any type of side effects that you're going to get from heavy stimulant use. Really, even like drinking like a pre-workout drink is going to cause worse side effects than these. So you can use these products long term. You don't have to worry about cycling off of them. You can just use them when you want to use them. Don't use them when you don't want to use them. You don't have to worry about hormonal effects. You don't have to worry about them hurting your heart. You don't have to worry about all this stuff. And also it can motivate you towards your fat loss goals, because if you're carrying some extra weight, you've got that dad bod going on, you can run these products and they're not going to hurt you health-wise, and they're going to motivate you to, I'm going to start eating better, because if I don't, these products aren't going to work as good for me. So it makes sense to use these products as more of a motivational factor. So that's a perfect opportunity, especially, if you're during the pandemic and stuff. Once you're coming off the pandemic, we all put on some extra fat, that we don't want. So this is a good opportunity now to get on these products and kind of push toward your fat loss goals. You can implement all these tips that we've gave you guys on this podcast before: the time restricted eating, the fasting protocols, all this stuff, and you can use these products while you're doing all this time restricted eating and fasting. Works perfectly.
Yeah, guys, the website is needtobuildmuscle.com. Need, like in, is having a necessity. Build is an edification. Needtobuildmuscle.com. Or you guys can go to and2 B as in boy, M as in Mary.com. And there you can find my products. Now, another thing that I wanted to point out is sometimes these products would come up out of a real need that steroid users would have. So, for example, I've noticed a lot of guys using a ton of steroids and not getting good results. And sometimes it was other underlying issues. For example, maybe you have a sluggish thyroid. So it doesn't matter just how much juice and steroids you take. You're always going to be kind of powerlifter puffy, just powerlifting heavy. Also, you might have insulin sensitivity issues that you're running into, maybe from previous bad diets and things like that. And if you have some of these insulin sensitivity problems, you're just not gonna gain as much mass as you can on each cycle. You're just not gonna look lean and sharp. It just doesn't happen. So something like Entuslin that is there just meant to make sure that the insulin sensitivity is proper for your steroid cycle. It just makes your body accept those steroids just so much better. And same thing with T3 PCT. With T3 PCT, I was trying to address the fact that a lot of people have problems with their thyroids because they're lacking in some key nutrients that the thyroid needs to just make all of the hormones it makes into function properly. And so if you just address those possible deficiencies somebody could have, the thyroid will just work optimally. The thyroid will work great. And look, you want your thyroid to be functioning properly. with every steroid cycle. You need a T3 not only to burn body fat effectively, but you need it to actually gain muscle mass. I'm talking about the T3 that's made by your thyroid gland, that hormone. You need it for both processes. It helps in both. And so you want to make sure that your thyroid functioning properly. It's not sluggish, it's not hyper. It's you got a really good good thyroid health. And look, addressing deficiencies is probably the number one when it comes to the thyroid. It's probably the number one thing that you can do. And so when you take T3 PCT, when you take insulin, those two, you're addressing with T3 PCT thyroid issues that cause you maybe not to make the amount of T3, T4, and T2 that you need to make in order to look the way you want to look. And then in insulin, you're addressing some of those shitty genetics that we have, and maybe some of that past previous bad nutrition that we had. We're kind of addressing that really, and it's just making your body treat calories the way someone with good genetics body would treat the calories, which is put more of them into the muscle cells because of the stimulus, and put less of them into the fat cells. And and it addresses those issues. One of the reasons my product line looks like this is because I was just addressing issues that steroid users were having, that I was having. I've been on this forums for a long time. People have been asking me questions for a long time, sending me progress pictures. And I realized, like, hey, some guys just don't have the genetics. Some guys are just going to look watery and shitty. Some guys, it's just not going to, it doesn't matter what they do. But let's find what the underlying issues for it are. Let's see what we can do about it. And thyroid and insulin sensitivity kept coming up over and over again. And so we came up with products to address those two issues. And man, you get so much more out of your cutting cycle when you add the insulin and the T3 PCT. You just get so much more quicker progress that you get while you're on the two of them with your cycle. You throw in the Yohimflame to target the areas that you want to lose the fat, right on your nipples, to get rid of that pointy kind of sugar tit look if you're a little chubby, right along obliques, the lower back, so that you have a nicer line right at where your shorts lay down when you take your shirt off. You could really utilize it. I use it under the chin. Just utilize it in really good key spots. Keep it away from your eyes, though, by the way. It'll burn the shit out of your eyes. This is no joke. And when you put on your Yohimflame, it actually dries clean. It has a very unique smell to it, which a couple of the ingredients in there do. The ketones and the Yohimbi have a pretty kind of strong kind of spicy smells, but they're not bad. You're going to be fine. They're the fruity spicy smells. The ketones and the Yohimbi also has caffeine, cenephrine. The old product, the one that we used to spray on the body, the mist, if you inhaled the mist some, you'd get a buzz because of that caffeine and that cenephrine floating in the air. Nowadays, when you apply it right on the skin, there's less waste. There's more ingredients around the skin, and it dries on clear. Like once the cream has dried, you know it's in there because it goes away. That stack of three, I would say, when it comes to like effortless kind of abs and not getting too crazy and still keeping a lean look, those three really work. And if you're talking about just taking a cutting cycle to that next level, like really looking the part, like really looking hard, those three products, along with a good regimen, it just addresses, when you go on a cutting cycle and all you do is just bang your central nervous system with stims to kill appetite and to keep you going even on a deep caloric deficit, and bang your body with androgens to just spare muscle mass while you're in a caloric deficit. If you just address those two things, look, you get far. A lot of guys have won championships just addressing those two things. But man, guys, I promise you, if on top of that you also address insulin sensitivity, be a product, a glucose disposal agent, maybe product, or a nutrient partitioner product like my Intuslin. And if you address just making sure your thyroid is up to speed, yeah, you can always take some Cytomel, take some T3, use it in a big pyramid for fat loss, use it in a small daily dose for muscle gain, and you could fiddle with that. But look, just optimize thyroid. Make sure your thyroid is making appropriate amounts of everything it can, that is functioning properly. T3 PCT is pretty much the product for that. You're addressing other pathways. And I'm telling you guys, you start addressing those two pathways, your insulin sensitivity and your thyroid. You start to address those two, and man, you'll need so much less stims and so much less steroids to get just a hard look, that you're gonna be happy, guys. I recommend my products. Please come out and support.
Yeah, definitely. And, these help. Guys, hormones, very, very important for weight loss. People don't understand that calories in, calories out are a factor. They are. But if you're just paying attention to calories in, calories out, you're going to be disappointed, because your hormones are very important. Your thyroid hormone, your insulin hormones, your glucagon hormones, those hormones in your body, even your testosterone levels. So you could use N2 Generate if you had testosterone issues. Use the N2 Generate, get your testosterone levels up, but use these products to boost your thyroid hormones, to get your insulin balanced so it's not spiking and high all day, and then to boost it, so your thyroid, your insulin, your glucagon, all these things can be helped with these products. So it's very, very important, guys. You'll drive yourself crazy just saying, oh, I'm eating in a deficit, I'm not losing weight. Well, over time, you will not lose weight eating in a deficit. You have to fix your hormonal issues first. And it's not anyone's fault, but most people have thyroid problems. And it's because of soil depletion, environmental factors, diet factors, processed foods, all the stuff. We grew up, eating cereal every day. So, it's just, these supplements really, really compensate for a lot of the stuff that you're not getting in your diet. So very, very important, guys, for you to, you get your hormones on point, and then you'll start losing fat like nothing.
And all you got there that think you have bad genetics, and you might have some genetics that don't really help your cause, and don't really help you when it comes to looking a certain way. Well, these two, Entuslin especially, will address some of that. It won't change your genetics, obviously. We're not that crazy, but the end result of some of that genetic predisposition, and some of that also diet, what you do with your diet, which is insulin sensitivity. Insulin addresses it appropriately. And look, and it takes a lot of ingredients. You have to take it sometimes as many as 4 capsules before a meal if you're going to have a lot of carbohydrates. Sometimes you can get away with just taking one capsule every 6 hours if you're fasting. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to take several capsules per day before with your food. You're doing, it's not just take a little supplement. You're adding a lot of different compounds and ingredients to your body to achieve something very specific, something that genetics and sometimes bad eating can take away from you, because indulging in sugars at not the right times of the day, and blasting your body with insulin from day and night, it does have a very profound effect on your insulin sensitivity. So Intuslin is the one to turn the tables on that. And again, Intuslin, T3 PCT, and your Yohimflame. That's your trifecta when it comes to non-stimulant fat loss, and you're gonna be really happy. And again, guys, you can take those 3 products and then go and put together the craziest, Winstrol and GW and caffeine or whatever, ephedra cycle. You can just take those to address insulin, address thyroid hormones, and to actually target area-specific fat loss. And then on top of that, you build. You can go with SARMs and your peptides and your steroids and your central nervous system stimulants. Anything you want to throw at the cause after that, it'll work. It'll click right in. no problem.
Yeah, fat loss very, very important, guys, because we don't want to work out. We work so hard. When you work out, you're trying to build muscle, but what's the point of having muscles if they're going to be covered with fat? So,
That's what I
listen,
was telling you, Steve. That's what I've been telling you, Steve, for the ever since the lockdown, and you haven't been getting out to the gym, and I could tell you've been eating poorly, brother. Just want to
no, what's funny is
tell you
actually,
sincerely.
no, what's funny is I can't keep my pants on. I've actually stayed really lean. My diet's been on point, but yeah, once the heat is over, I'm gonna be all in, man. So I'm gonna be
You
ripped.
guys,
Like
you
a
guys
cheerleader.
you guys are opened up all over down there where you're at in Florida. As you guys opened up already, right?
Yeah, no, no, not every place is open. Yeah, yeah, something like that. But I mean, my gym's still not open, so all that. Yeah, so I mean, guys, it's all about motivation, being motivated. So that's why these supplements are really really good because with steroids, steroids, yeah, they motivate you, but man, they come with side effects. So if you can nail down these supplements and use these supplements when you're not on cycle or use these supplements in between cycles, you can definitely take your stuff to the next level. All right, Rick, what else do we got on this podcast? What are the products we can talk about?
On this one, I really just wanted to address this fat loss trifecta because they're three products that are very simple, real easy to incorporate into your program, real easy products to take that'll fit right in, non-stimulant, non-hormonal, really really good. Well, when I say non-stimulant, and it doesn't affect androgen pathway, so it really addresses some key issues and looking good, looking hard, because what's the point of taking steroids and really working out and doing all of this? You just kind of look, I guess if you're competing is good. If you're doing powerlifting, stuff like that, and you look a little bit pudgy bulky, I mean, I guess why not? But I mean, do you really want to do all of this, take the steroids, and you don't get that hard look? I mean, you don't achieve that clean kind of chisel look. Like, why do it all? I think you should at least get there once in your lifetime, take some darn good nice pictures at least. But if you can maintain it, if you can add some of these products to your regimen a couple times a year, keep good, solid, consistent regimen, even when you're off the drugs, then you could achieve that look and look good, good chunk of the year, if not year round, man.
So finish up this podcast, Rick. Give us a rundown of the products again and how. Give us a couple
Guys,
ways to run them. Give us a couple ways to run them in layman terms, or guys can just write this stuff down and follow it to the T. Give us like 2 or 3 different ways that we can run this for the best result.
Oh, it's pretty simple. So T3 PCT, where you're addressing all of your deficiencies in order to get your thyroid pumping out and functioning properly. You only need 2 capsules of that per day. And just get those 2 capsules in with food with your first meal of the day. If you're fasting or if you're eating 6 meals a day, whatever, just get those 2 capsules in first meal of the day and you're good to go. When it comes to Entoslin, which is the one you want activated through your body, activating cells in your body before you eat, before there's a rush of calories in your system, you want to take that 30 to 45 minutes before you eat. If you're fasting, you can take 1 capsule in the morning with a lot of water. It'll help. It's what you want to do, and it's fine to work that way. And then you can take one again every 5 to 6 hours. But if you're gonna eat, if you're gonna have a meal with about 20 to 30 grams of carbohydrates, then you want to take 1 or 2 capsules. If you go over that for 40, 50 grams of carbs, 60, 70 grams of carbs, then you want to go into the 3 capsules, 4 capsule round. If it's a cheat meal, you could take as many as 6 capsules about 30 minutes, 45 minutes before you have that peak. So that big cheat meal full of carbohydrates, that birthday cake or whatever it is you're going to have, you're to go there. Now, a warning on Entoslin: if you take more than 1 capsule, if you take 2, if you take 3, definitely if you take 4 or 5, you want to make sure you eat. You want to make sure you eat 30 to 45 minutes. You should get some calories in you. Otherwise, your blood sugar will drop very sharp. Some of those muscle cells in your body will soak up whatever available energy is in your system, almost like a little carb load. It causes almost like a very little short-term carb load right away on your muscle cells as soon as it's activated, especially if you take 4 to 6 capsules. Man. So you want to make sure you get calories in you, or you might get lightheaded and you might pass the fuck out on me. So make sure you don't play around like that, and you get your calories in. I've heard very similar stories of guys taking insulin, and it's a fucking game, and they shoot their insulin, they go in the shower, take a shower, take a little too long, and then they like slipping and falling in their tub because they didn't get their calories in right after they shot their insulin. Insulin will make muscle cells way more sensitive to insulin, way more. They're going to want to load up with carbs. And once it activates, you take it. 30 minutes is activated. If you haven't eaten anything, if your intestine, if your gut is not releasing calories into your blood system, there'll be a sharp drop in calories, and your brain will feel it. So that's very important. So that's the way you use insulin is for meals. Now, Yohimflame, just in the morning, man, rub it on right before AM cardio. Then, you come back home, take your shower, and then rub it on again in key spots, like maybe like around the nipples. And, it's a good key spot to put it on. Then go to work, do what you need to do. And then your second shower of the day or your second workout of the day, you can apply it on before your second workout or workout and take a shower. And then after your shower, again, put a little bit just around maybe a key spot like the nipples. I would go all out, like around ab area, a few minutes before my workout, 10, 15, 20 minutes before I worked out. But if I'm just going to leave it on and I don't have a workout, but it's just to leave it on, but it's just to leave on and there's no workout, just leave it on the nipples. Nipples is a good leave on spot for your Yohimflame. So just leave it on after a shower. If you want to go all the way and do obliques and all that, that's good. But just a leave on. And when your Yohimflame gets on the skin, it doesn't all get released right away. It slow releases a little bit. So just having it on there, it's just helping so that if you do run into a caloric surplus throughout the day and your body is going to store some of that additional energy, some of that additional caloric surplus, at least if you're applying it on the nipples or if you're applying it on your abs, maybe those fat cells won't be as willing, I should say, to take in that additional surplus energy that you ran into at that time of the day because you had your meal and then someone had a milkshake they didn't finish, your kid or something, and then you went and had your kid's milkshake that he didn't finish, which I've done that once or twice. And then it just shoots that for that meal. It just shoots the amount of calories that you have for that meal. You could almost double it. If you're used to washing out your food with water, and then you're Wendy's with your kid or whatever it is where you're at, and then Dad, I don't want this milkshake anymore, and then you guzzle it down, boom, double the calories in that meal already. So that's a good example of just a way to, like, if you keep applying it right on the nipple and just leave a tiny bit on there, just the size of a quarter on there, just roll it on a couple times a day. It's a good way. It's a good way, I believe, to just keep those fat cells from gaining and from taking in calories.
All right, buddy. I guess that sums it up. Very, very simple stack.
Yeah, you use all three of them. Entuslin before every meal, T3 PCT with one meal out of your day. Just take the 2 capsules. You could take as many as 3 if you want. 4. Wouldn't go past 4, but you could take 4 capsules of T3 PCT per day. Be fine. And then your Yohimflame, the way I just described, just use the 3 of them. And then you could throw your Winnie, your GW, your peptides, your MCAR, your whatever on top of that. You can throw on top of that, and you'll be fine. Your Anavar with albuterol, if that's what you should do, you throw it right on there and be fine.
All right, guys. So this is podcast 350. We'll have another one coming up, 352. We'll have another Q&A coming up, 351 for Stevesmi and Rick. Has been Evolutionary Radio. We will talk to you guys next week. Have a good one, guys.
Guys, I appreciate every one of you that comes out and purchases something from my store. I appreciate every one of you guys that listens to the podcast. If it wasn't for you guys taking some of your of your funds that you have monthly to spend on your fitness and putting those into my brand, I just wouldn't be able to be here and record this podcast a couple of times per week and actually answer everyone's emails and every one of your calls and every one of your messages on Facebook and Instagram, wherever you hit me up. That's what I like to do. I like to help people out with this information that I've already experienced. So you guys coming out, buying some supplements, reaching out to me, asking questions, supporting me, that allows me to continue to do this. And I really appreciate that, guys. I'm living the dream. So please come out and support me. Needtobuildmuscle.com. And as in Nancy, the number 2, B as in boy, M as in Mary.com, and 2bm.com for characters there. Just come out and support, please. Grab some of these products that I'm telling you guys about. If you have any questions, Ricky, RICKY, Ricky V, rock.com. You go to rickyvrock.com with a Y, and they'll take you right to my social, and you can come in and ask any questions you have. I have a ton of products that I have access to, and I'm going to be working with other brands as well on some projects. So just come out and ask, come out and support. And I really appreciate you guys allowing me to do this full time. So for years now, I've been working full time helping guys reach their goals now, going winners. And that's pretty amazing. I'm really happy about that. So, all right, Steve. All right, guys. Have a good one, Steve. Have a good one, guys.